This podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Castles of the Rising Dawn series. Do you like violence? Do you like smut? Are you tired of the stereotypical novels of werewolf romance out there and want something a little bit different? Then pick up Sparked Revolution, Book 1 in the Rising Dawn series by Rebecca Castles. Available on Amazon, in Kindle, and paperback.
You too can become a sponsor by heading on over to patreon.com/stories, the true and the fictional.
Hello guys, guess what? It's another episode. We've got another interview. And Ryan, the fans are dying to know, are you still living the dream?
I feel like I'm living the dream because I only got up about half an hour ago. So yeah, I am definitely living the dream this evening, or this morning over here, probably this evening over where our lovely guest is from. But yes, I am LVDing very hard.
Wonderful. Well, check out our sponsors, Rebecca Castles, Martin Kearns. They've got some great stuff out there. Rebecca Castles is actually writing a book that Chris suggested, like in a one-off comment. He'd made a joke on the podcast. You should write a book about this. And Rebecca Castles is like, I've done a 20-chapter outline, so that's in the works. The things that happen on the podcast. Guys, we've got a Patreon. Go head over there, $5 a month. If you're American, that'll be $2.50 a month because our dollar is weak. But yeah, head over there and give us some support, give us some love. And right now, we're going to bring in our guest, M.A. Wall. How are we?
I'm great. How are you all doing today?
You know,
just starting out for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
It's mid-morning right now.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm done with my work day, and that honestly is the best part of my day when I get to just close out the email.
Yeah.
And if anybody else wants anything, there's other people you can ask. I can just go do other stuff.
So are you still living the dream of working from home since COVID hit?
I've been living the dream of working from home for about a decade now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So in my day job, I am the vice president of a geochemical analysis sales office here in Texas. And I started out as a geochemist with them and a project manager. And then they decided to have me start managing people, which honestly, very questionable decision on their part. But the science is solid. So I'm pretty happy with it. It is interesting because you always think, oh, I'd love to work from home. And then you finally start to do it. And I honestly feel like I work more than I ever have because I don't have the commute. I don't have the excuses of leaving for a lunch break.
Yeah, I remember when COVID hit, I was working because my background is customer service. So I've been a manager, I've been, second in charge, and I work better as a worker bee, as I like to call them, like just smashing through the calls, smashing through the emails, everything. But yeah, when COVID hit, it was the first time I had to work from home, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I can get out of bed 5 minutes before I start work, and I can, when I log off, there's no commute because I used to have a 45-minute commute, which is not very long, but still, I only worked technically 15 minutes from home. So it was just mostly sitting in traffic. But you are right, you do more work. I put myself in the office because I refused to sit in front of the TV while I worked because I'd get distracted. And I found that if I was up early, I was like, oh, I'll just jump on half an hour early, check the emails and get ahead of the day. And as we all know, that doesn't happen. And then there's not so much pressure as, when you finish at 5. Oh, look, 10 more minutes. And look, I'm saving the time in the commute. And the employer ends up getting more time out of you for less money. And you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then not paying for a company overhead because we ended up going completely work from home. So they didn't have the building anymore. So they're saving on rent. It's just ridiculous. But
they're also saving on all of the extra like insurances for having workers and all of it. They don't have the risk factors of you guys driving around. One of the downsides of working from home is definitely like thinking about how much money you're saving other people and just like, but over here, like I have to sit in this house. I need detergent. Like, let's do something about this.
And when I guess, a lot of companies after sort of COVID died down, they're like, well, we've got the technology in place. We may as well just keep people working from home because it's saving us a lot of money, and we can just hide it by saying we're doing it for your safety. Yeah, so I wasn't very. I think I worked from home for about 2.5 years, and I was like, nah, I'm over that. I need to get back into the office.
You need to have a little bit of that work and like home life separation, or else when those borders start to bleed together, it is very tough. And I recently moved, I had my office out in kind of like more of a community space. And then I recently moved it into one of our spare bedrooms, because I need to be able to feel like I've shut that door and I'm done. Like I'm not going to be back, and there's no reason to go back. So it's been very nice. It's been very helpful. But yeah, we operate on such a small overhead that whenever I bring up the idea of like opening up a business separately from our homes, my bosses just laugh at me. And my bosses are Egyptian, so they laugh in Arabic, whatever that means. It's very nice.
Well, I live in a place called Maryland now, so I'm very familiar with the Arabic language at the moment. We have it. I've gone from living in a predominantly
Indian, was it?
Aussie and Indian slash Indian area to a place called Maryland, which is predominantly Middle Eastern and Asian. And I'm telling you, I love it here more.
I was gonna say
much.
yes.
But
I always found it to be like super awesome whenever I go to Middle Eastern countries and everyone says, "Aren't you afraid?" I'm like, "No, they're great. Everyone's
exactly.
so friggin' nice. Like there's never any problems." So
and the fact that I can go on DoorDash and have 7 to 10 different kebab shops within a 5 kilometer radius, and it is the best food you have ever had.
It is the best.
Like it's coming from its source. Like it's nice. It feels like it's pure. Like they're just, it's so much better than being out west, if that makes sense. But
it does.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm in week 4 of our new place, and I absolutely love it here. So happy days. But anyway,
happy days.
It's not the COVID / work from home / where Ryan's living podcast. We like to start off the podcast by just a simple question before we do our icebreakers. Who is M.A. Wall?
Well, hello, my name is M.A. Wall, and I'm a science fiction author. I also, as I've already said, work as a geochemist / vice president. And I have a pretty complex history in my pocket, or pockets, depending on how much you quantify for everything there. And let's see, I've been in the military. I served in the U.S. Army for 8 years as a civil affairs specialist. I competed in Taekwondo in the Junior Olympics when I was a little kid. I was 13, 14 years old. I've lived through a lot of different things and lived all over this country, and I've served in other countries as well. I don't really have a favorite country. A lot of people have asked me what's my favorite country, and honestly, it just depends on what kind of food I'm craving. And that's almost always going to be the correct answer for me. And also, if you haven't had just like pure Lebanese food, oh goodness gracious, go for it. So very good. And yeah, I started writing when I was a kid, and I've been writing my entire life. But my dad very wisely told me, hey, did you want to starve to death, or did you want to do well and then write? He had a point. So I've been sitting on the series that I'm kind of talking about today for about 10 years, because I wrote it slowly. Actually, I wrote it all very quickly, but I am just a very detailed editor. I have a very in-depth process, and before I release things out into the public, they have to be perfect or I will have problems. I'm not really so worried about when people are reading it, but like there's one typo in my second book right now. I just found it. It's emotional instead of emotional. I'm having nightmares about it. I have to like get that fixed.
Or create a new word. Just create a new word.
I know, right?
To the skin.
Yeah, I know, right? If only it was the first book that it happened in, then we're like, well, that's just what we're doing now.
Is the
But you
protagonist
can
a
say
postman?
whoever's got that book has now got a collector's edition
They
because
do.
it's
And that's what I've told
exactly.
people. I'm like, see, hang on to that. Bring it. I will put a little mark through it and put my initials next to it. And if that's ever worth anything, first of all, I'm sorry. And also, you're welcome.
Well, I'm just going to say it right now. Emotional means when the mailman gets very upset.
Ooh, oh, I love it.
Mhm.
Oh, I feel like that's a going postal thing
Yeah,
that would be very, I think Terry would like that very
yeah,
much.
yeah. Now you just have to change the entire character within the book to
It's
fix
true.
the spelling
And
mistake.
yeah, absolutely. And the entire setting and pretty much
Yeah,
the entire plot,
yeah,
unfortunately, there's no postman in mind. Damn, I missed a really good opportunity.
worth it.
Well, that's okay.
It's the title of your next book.
So the books that are available right now, I've got books 1 and 2 of a 4-part series out.
Mhm.
And again, they're all written. I'm just going slowly, so my publicist will not yell at me. It's funny how you pay somebody to yell at you after a while. What is that? But the first book is called Strength to Bind, and the second one is Entangled Binds. The third book coming out will be Bound to Glory, and the fourth one will be Broken Bonds. I understand now in hindsight that that has kind of like a BDSM vibe. All right. That was not my intention at all. I was thinking about quantum entanglement. And I let my nerd get away from me without keeping her in check with my real world brain. And so I do apologize to anybody that reads my books under the wrong impression about what it's about. Hopefully, it will be so good that you won't mind the lack of bondage.
There you go. Hey, well, we watched Godzilla back in 2016, and it had 12 minutes of Godzilla. We're waiting there for Godzilla the entire movie, so
Totally forgot
Oh my
about that. I
God,
must have
Jamie!
blocked it out.
Every time you talk about Godzilla, you mentioned the first movie having 12 minutes, even though all the other movies have plenty of Godzilla.
but it was the
You have
first
to
movie.
build the story, man. You got to build the story, the origin story.
How would you like to see a movie where it's because Batman's your favorite, where it's just
Oh.
Bruce Wayne and he's just being Bruce Wayne, and then 5 minutes at the end he puts the cowl on.
Well, welcome to Smallville, mate, because we had 10 seasons of that show, and the last minute and a half, Tom Welling got to wear the Superman suit.
Yeah,
I just finished rewatching the Snyderverse
yeah.
DC movies because my wife wanted to watch them again, and I'm like, yeah, sure, let's watch it. You know, starting from Man of Steel, and we
Yeah.
went through Wonder Woman, and I got very bored, and we went through. I just feel the reason I don't like Wonder Woman, it's not because it's Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. I love Gal Gadot. I love Linda Carter. It's just two types of movies I don't really like: period pieces and war movies, and that is both.
Both,
So
yeah.
generally tend to tune out for that. But we did actually watch Zack Snyder's 4-hour epic last night, the Justice League, the Snyder Cut, and that was that
So good.
just absolutely holds up. It's absolutely amazing.
It's
But
phenomenal.
oh, really, really is. But you know what? If it was
Okay.
Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne, I would happily watch a full movie of that Bruce Wayne because he's got more experience. He's been doing it for 20 years. And like the stories that he could tell throughout that movie, I would be 100% okay with that.
I
Well, we have
actually
some,
agree.
Anyway, let's get these icebreakers going.
yeah, sorry. Tangent. Yeah.
No,
I'm
that's
sure
okay.
you probably listened to maybe an episode or two of this podcast. You know we're the tangent kings. We generally, that's why we have very little questions on our sheet, and our interviews generally go for about 2 hours because we love to go off on tangents, and we like to make it as if, it's just three friends having a chat, and two of them happen to be authors. So,
Yeah.
that's
It's
what we
like
like
a
to
real
do.
live conversation that people can actually
Exactly.
like sink their teeth into. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
And that I feel like the podcasts that where they just read questions, you answer, read questions, you answer. It's just not as interesting for me. Whereas, for me, I prefer to just have that chat and go off on a tangent, and we'll eventually get back to the talking points.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I'm going to take the first question today, Jamie.
Yes.
So the first question is, and now with this question, you need to picture a world where world peace is abundant. There is no cruelty to
Ooh.
humans or to animals.
Oh.
There is no anything that you could say to be politically correct in terms of the answer to this question goes out the window because it's already happened. We want self, the more selfish, the better. And the question is, if you could get rid of one thing in this world, what would it be?
Oof, now that you've given some context around it, you've made it more difficult. That's very rude. Thank you.
Because it's very easy to just say, oh, let's get rid of war, let's get rid of animal cruelty and everything. But and I totally agree on that because
Oh
I
yeah,
love
absolutely.
I like peace. But that's all done. We live in a peaceful, harmonic society where
Hmm.
everyone has everything that could possibly be wrong with our government and with the world and with war and everything is all fixed. So now it's
Hmm.
your turn to be selfish, and you tell us what you want to get rid of.
All right, let's see. So just off the hip, I think the first thing that popped into my mind was overbred dog breeds because I find it absolutely disturbing. And you read my book, I actually in my books I talk a lot about genetics, and so again, I'm going based off what like popped into my head immediately in a peaceful world, because in a non-peaceful world, it's very easy as you said. Um, but also, like, I'd get rid of the Chow Chow as a breed altogether. I don't understand why that was ever something that was created, except for like, Chinese guardian creatures. That makes sense. Otherwise, why do we have these devil dogs rolling around as pets in the United States? That's incredibly scary to me. Um, so
I'm
that's
going
my
to have to
selfish.
terminate this interview right now because
You love Chow
this is the
Chow?
first for me. I'm actually offended by your answer. They are mine and my wife's all-time favorite dogs. Are the Chow
I'm
Chow.
so sorry. Of course, I didn't know
Oh,
that, but
no,
I
you're
will help you.
not.
I'll help you with a little bit of context here. I actually, I've been traumatized by a chow chow.
Well, I was going to
Um,
say, unless your whole family's been murdered by a Chow Chow, I do
no,
not accept that answer at all.
no. When I was in the fifth grade, a chow chow got loose from somebody's backyard and attacked several of the students. Like one kid had his calf like almost completely pulled off his leg. So I'm a little traumatized just in general. And there's not a lot of things in this world that I'll see walking down the street that I immediately feel like an intense fear towards. And it is a chow chow. And it's just
That's
because
so
that happened to me. So
beautiful.
you said I could be selfish, and I'm giving
Yeah,
you
but
great
not that, not
context.
not selfish to anything that I like.
Well, I
And
didn't know that.
my wife just she stays in the bedroom because we're in a one bedroom house at the moment. When I
Don't
recall,
let her, don't tell her I said
she
this.
already
She heard
opened
it.
the door and she gave
Oh
me the
no. Did she hear my explanation?
no. She even if she did, she wouldn't care because
Okay,
we
that's
love
fair.
Chow Chows that much. Oh look,
Yep, we listen and we definitely judge. Got it. Okay. So, and I don't blame you at all. Like, again, if somebody were to come up to me and say, oh, Brittany Spaniels need to go away, I have a Brittany Spaniel. I would be personally offended by that. Absolutely. But if somebody also said, but I was also like disgustingly like traumatized by one, all right, you can have that weird thing. I go figure.
oh
That's what popped into my head. My brain must have been like, I bet that's a Chow Chow guy. Let's go ahead and offend him. Very good at that.
wow.
What you can do is you can gather them all up and leave them at Ryan's house.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Ryan, you could be
Definitely.
the purveyor of Chow Chows,
I do
like
like that
the
name,
adopting king.
the Chow Chow
Yeah.
King.
Ah, very nice. Well, Ryan's
Wow.
going to be gunning for
How
me
can
the
you
rest of
hate
this
something
interview.
that's so fluffy and so beautiful and so fluffy? So beautiful. Wow, okay. All right. Well, look,
Yep.
I'll take your trauma on board and I'll keep this interview running, but you are on very thin ice.
Well, I do appreciate knowing where I stand with you. Thank you for
Yeah.
being honest with me. I appreciate that transparency.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can make it up to you in my next answer. So you did say selfish, and that was about as selfish as I could come up with.
Yeah, that
Um,
is wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know I was going to hit something so deeply personal. That's crazy awesome. Or crazy
Well,
awful awesome. Awful? It's both. It's both bad
I
and good.
actually had my finger over the buy now on your book, and now it's slowly worn away. We'll see how the rest of these icebreakers go.
I know,
In
right? I
terms
have
of
I have
whether I'm
some
gonna
serious
buy
ground to
them.
make up. Yeah, I'm on scree trying to scrabble uphill.
Let's cut the tension with what's on your bucket list.
Okay, so I'm gonna be very, very upfront on the bucket list. I
To
actually
get
am
rid
one
of
of those
all chow
people
chows? No.
that's no, not even a little bit. My bucket list is actually pretty short when it comes to like experiences that I want to have. I've traveled a lot. Um, I've met a lot of really awesome people. I think that on my bucket list now is just to continue to meet awesome people, continue to travel, and really and truly write more. It's really great. I just love the feeling of being able to sit and get into my flow state. And it's something I feel like I've been denied for like a really long time, because I've been focusing so much on, oh, make money and oh, survive this pandemic and oh, do this. And it's nice to just have those breathable moments where I actually feel like I'm myself and I'm taking all that extraneous thought and putting it down on paper, or into a computer, whichever. Um, so I think my bucket list is literally just to continue to put out work and write all of the stories that are percolating up here and really finish a couple of the other series that I've been brewing on for a while, and hopefully do all of that before something happens, like I get sick or lose my knack or something else pops up that draws me away from doing what my passion is.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Good answer. And
Okay.
if you want to meet more people, start a podcast. I mean,
Yeah. If
And
you
part of it
want
is also just go ahead.
well, that I mean, something on my bucket list before we actually started this podcast was to read more. And by doing this podcast, I have pretty much every author that we've had on. I've at least attempted to read at least one of their books. Some of them I haven't
Yeah.
gotten through because some of them are a little bit spicy, which I don't mind a bit of spice in my books, but yeah, like we've had a few different authors on, but I've also found some absolutely amazing books out of this as well. Especially one of our sponsors, Martin Kearns. Have read his books multiple times, and we've become good friends, and I cannot recommend his series more. So I mean that's something that's actually got knocked off my bucket list just by doing this podcast and meeting so many amazing people all over the world. So
you're welcome, Ron.
That's really awesome.
yeah, no, me and Jamie have done a few podcasts in our time, and I think this is probably my favorite because it's given me so much more reading to do, and as I said, meet amazing people who don't want to get rid of chow chows in this world. But
I do promise that if I were actually given the opportunity and somebody like gave me the knife over every chow chow's neck, I would never actually do that.
okay.
I have too much respect for pet owners. Like, so again, when we're talking hypotheticals, yeah, that's what I'll say. But if we're talking reality, that would be so cruel. I could
Yeah.
never. I don't think even the crazy dogs that have been bred to the point of not being able to breathe anymore, like that's somebody's weird dog that they love.
Yeah.
So I'm not a
Yeah,
cruel person.
and like, wouldn't you want to just get rid of chihuahuas? I mean, those guys are just ugly little
Yappy.
rats.
I know, but they kill rats too. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, I
So
suppose,
chow chows were, or not chow chows. Sorry, now I'm all mixed up in my breeds. Chihuahuas were originally used in Mexico as like pest control. So kind of explains their personalities a little bit. I don't have one. And I also find them to be kind of creepy as well.
well, the next question is definitely going to you're either going to win back some points, or I'm definitely going to roll out of this interview.
Go for it.
But the next question is one that we've asked since day one. It's one of my favorite ones. Me and Jamie are roughly about the same age, so we grew up in the era of sitcoms.
Mhm.
Friends, The Office, Scrubs, you name it, all those great sitcoms. So it's a two-part question. In your opinion, what is the greatest sitcom ever made? And if that is not your favorite, what is your favorite sitcom of all time?
Gotcha. So the greatest sitcom ever made. And I'm not going to go back as far as like Dallas and Who Killed JD, because that's a little bit too much of, that's more family trauma. So I do think I really love The Office. I really think it's well done. It's very cringy for me, so I'm not going to say it's my favorite because it makes me uncomfortable. Like I just feel discomfort a lot watching it, and so it's so well done. I absolutely love the way the camera works. They use that a lot in like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and sitcoms after that, and I really appreciate that style. My favorite one is a cartoon sitcom, and it's Futurama. I can watch Futurama all day, every day. I absolutely love it. My son's first birthday, I had the little brain slugs made into cupcakes. So I obviously am a very big fan. I think it's absolutely hilarious. And that's probably where I hang my hat when it comes to just like the thing I like to watch to calm down if I've had a really stressful day. But yeah, I do think that The Office really changed the way that sitcoms are done in general. So you really have to throw that out there. Is just I think that we could call that like a pinnacle and a big change and a big shift in the way that we view those happened then. And I like it. I really do. I think it makes it more interesting and just more interesting to watch and a little bit more relatable, especially with a little like fourth wall breaks. They're just fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I think you've hit the nail on the head when you said The Office kind of changed the way sitcoms are, because before The Office, you had your Friends, you had, all the studio audience sitcoms, even going as far back as like I Love Lucy and everything, which
Oh
is
yeah.
well for all of our times. But yeah, you would have, Friends, Seinfeld, all those Cheers, all those kind
Mm-hmm.
of shows filmed in front of a live audience, and then all of a sudden The Office comes along, and then I can definitely attest the British version of The Office, even though it only got 2 seasons, is fantastic with
It's
Ricky Gervais.
fantastic.
It's
Mm-hmm.
really good. And then obviously I prefer a lot of comedies and sitcoms. I actually prefer the British version, but in this instance, I do prefer the US version because Steve Carell, Jim. Oh my God, I'm having
John
a
Krasinski.
John Krasinski, Ryan Wilson, and yeah, that cast is just absolutely amazing. It is
It
one of my
is.
all-time favorite go-tos. I've watched it all 10 seasons multiple times. I think is really good. And Futurama is another good one where it's Futurama you can put on any episode and you don't have to know years and years of backstory.
Exactly.
It's like The Simpsons. You can put it on and just half an hour, have a laugh, and just unwind. So I think that they're two very good examples of the sitcoms. Um, yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Obviously, where Jamie got me into Scrubs when we first started hanging out, and that's one of my favorites. And obviously
Scrubs is
we
amazing.
100%. The season
Absolutely love
the
it.
last
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough for me not to say Scrubs. As soon as you
Yeah,
mentioned it, I wanted to say something about it, but it really didn't
yeah.
give that change
one.
to the way that things were done. But oh man, I love Scrubs. I even like the musical one.
Oh,
Zero problems. I love all of it.
yeah,
Um, I don't think that I've ever watched a sitcom that made me cry because I
hmm,
laughed so hard, but then
Yeah.
cry because I was crying.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that Scrubs very good at doing that to me. It's another one that I go back to a lot. Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well.
yeah,
Because they'll hit you in the feels. You don't expect
yeah,
it. Scrubs more so than Brooklyn
yeah.
Nine-Nine. But
Well,
yeah.
that's the masterful work of Bill Lawrence. I love Bill Lawrence. I know I write books, but his writing style is what I draw inspiration from and how I like to do things because I love to make people laugh, but I love to make people think and feel. Um, that's
Absolutely.
exactly what Scrubs does.
Yeah,
And
it's
and
very holistic.
and I think it's Bill Lawrence in general because
Yeah.
obviously the other shows that he's done. Of me and Jamie are a massive fan of Ted Lasso, which is
Oh
coming
yeah.
back. So fourth season. And even that, that'll 1 second it'll make you laugh, and then by the end of the episode you're in tears not because you're laughing so much, but because it gets you.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, I've said it again. The perfect example in Scrubs is a Brendan Fraser episode. That guy should have won all the awards for that
the
awards.
Yeah.
And
the guy that played Dr. Cox broke me on that. I can't remember what his name is, but
100%. And Dr. Cox is probably, if not my favorite character on that show, because he's a hard ass. He's he's got that external like mask, I would call it on.
Yeah.
Hard ass, I don't care about anyone, and that episode where he lost 3 patients in one day, and you see he's real.
Yeah.
He's in his apartment all drunk and trying to, and he just can't drink it away. Yep. And I know, again, right in the feels. I really love his character a lot. It was probably my favorite because, again, I've got that military experience. So that hard ass is very familiar to me. I immediately latched onto the Dr. Cox one, and I understood why JD was like, I will idolize him forever, because I'm like, girl, same. And also I do like to call her girl same just because Dr. Cox does, and I honor and respect that. So but I definitely agree. I think that some of the acting in that, the nurse, Carla, the character that plays Carla, is absolutely fabulous. And I thought whenever she went through kind of like the what's it called, whenever we get depressed after having a baby, the baby blues, if you will, it felt so raw and real. And I'm like, aren't I supposed to be laughing right now? What the hell is going on, Scrubs? It's just beautifully done, and also prepared me for what it would be like after having a kid, probably better than any book ever could have. It was just watch her for a minute and see how confused it can be. And I really felt like I was taught some lessons there.
Oh, definitely. It is probably it's definitely now that, because before I met Jamie, I'd just seen an episode here and there, but once Jamie's like, no, you need to watch all of it, except for med school, which we don't talk about. And then I actually sat down and watched. I still haven't officially finished it, but it is my go-to. I think I'm up to season 6 or season 7. But it is just Bill Lawrence, his writing, his way that it just grabs you emotionally, and out of nowhere, like I said, you're laughing, and then all of a sudden, bang, they just
drives
lesson about yourself too. I think is absolutely phenomenal, and it's so well written to the point where I will now watch, and I do watch, anything that Bill Lawrence's name is attached to. I will be on board for, and I will stick around for as long as it takes. So definitely, look, we will continue this interview. Not to say that I've forgiven the chow chow remark, but it will.
I understand. I feel like I've made it halfway up the hill. I'll continue to endeavor. I understand that there might be some scree. Like, I don't know how familiar you are with geology, but scree is when it's just a lot of crap that you can't really hang on to. So you're just kind of struggling against a sand dune. I get it, but I've also done this before, so I can get there.
You can definitely get there, and I do believe in you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't deserve that vote of confidence, but I do appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. All hail Bill Lawrence. Next question. Yeah. What is your zombie apocalypse plan?
Okay. I'm glad you didn't give me any added context for this one, because I have so many plans, guys. Most of them, I'm not even going to joke around, like from A to Z, have Molotov cocktails somewhere involved. And I actually got the Survivor's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse 10, 15 years ago at a gift exchange. And I was like, what the hell is this? I don't need this. This is silly. I read that thing cover to cover and was absolutely thrilled by all of it. Have determined exactly what I'm going to chop my hair off, and I'll shave it too. To me, I want to do that eventually. I don't really have the face for it. So a zombie apocalypse is the perfect excuse to just, we're done. And I mean, come on, I'm a woman, so I've got to think about some of those things. But that is my biggest plan, is to light everything on fire and try to get the hell out of there. I live near the Gulf. And I'm hoping that we have to figure out what kind of zombies we have, right?
Yeah.
Is it the Left 4 Dead ones? Is it like,
And I think we had this on another episode. We've decided that it's all of them.
It's all of them?
Well,
yeah.
Didn't you once say, Ryan, like it was levels, like a video game? It's like you get the Walking Dead ones, and then they progressively evolve into the crazy ones. So it gets
the 28
harder.
days ones
Yeah.
that are faster.
I'm kind of over the Walking Dead and the Walking Dead zombies, so I'm just going to say it's the 28 days later zombies
Throwing themselves at you.
Yeah,
we will run really fast, and we will, jump through walls and buildings and everything like that to get you. We will not stop, so you cannot stop either.
Okay.
Yep. That sounds about right. So I have kids. I'd be strapping a child to my back and grabbing some axes that we have, because you don't have to reload an axe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We do, I know everybody in the US has, rifles and guns and things of that nature. And even I do. But the reality is I also had, tons of training in using them.
Yeah.
And I still understand that literally the best thing to have is like an actual hand-to-hand combat weapon, and to be better versed with that, because once you're relying on a projectile, things go too quick and your aim is not as good as you think it is.
Yeah.
So,
and we don't live in the 90s, because I've been watching a lot of 90s action movies where they have I say to my wife Steph all the time, oh look, they've got the unlimited ammo cheat on. Because, I watched Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes the other day, and I actually sat there and counted Sylvester Stallone shooting. I'm like, the maximum this guy can get out of a little handgun or a Glock is 13 shots, with 12 in the clip and one in the chamber. And that guy shot about 37 bullets out of that one gun without reloading. So he's got the unlimited ammo cheat on for sure.
Yeah, it's you got to have like the screen fantasy thing going on there. And the other portion of it is the muzzle's going to heat up. Yeah. Like you're going to end up having a warpage on the actual end of your weapon. So it's going to end up being anyways. So just talking about like the technical aspects of a weapon, I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Grab yourself something that is long and sharp and try to keep it away from you and dead. Yeah. So,
and it makes more sense because you've got guns that go bang, and then you're going to just draw attention to yourself,
Exactly.
You got a machete or an axe, you can chop a zombie's head off, and none of the other zombies are necessarily going to hear you unless you scream kamikaze like and go, all in. But I personally like the idea of a really big machete, because you can just go around sneak attack, Last of Us, just go around and kill from behind. And then, take the zombies out only as you need, and then just avoid for the rest of the time, rather than shooting a big ass gun and attracting every living thing to you.
I think that the perfect weapon for a zombie apocalypse is actually found in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. And I don't know if you've read those books. I'm not going to recommend them. They're a long read, and honestly, for me, too much detail. But when I was a kid, I was reading one of the characters, Matt Cawthon, has an ashurandai, I think, and it's a long spear with basically a machete on the end.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And to me, I was like, that's the perfect tool for decapitation of zombies from a distance.
That Japanese sword, naga something, it's like a spear and they use the...
Yeah. I don't
That'd be another good one. Because I was, researching for my next book, like weaponry. And and that was one of them. It's like a Japanese weapon. It's like a spear, but it's got the long curved blade on the end, and women primarily use it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and good reach. And it's basically just like a long reach scythe. I'm gonna take this down, mow some zombie crops, figure my life out. It's not edible, so we're gonna have to figure out what to do with all that. But still, but one of the things as a scientist, I definitely, whenever we start talking zombie apocalypse, I'm like, well.
It's not really possible.
Dead flesh can only be on a body for so long before it rots off completely. And a skeleton with no ligaments or muscle to move it is not going to move.
Why haven't they done that? Like, why haven't they done like full skeleton zombies? Like, it just makes no,
I would be fine. But then we're looking at, then we have to have necromancy, right? Like, because yeah, we definitely would have to like switch over from science fiction into that fantasy realm.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense like with Terminator, right?
Yeah.
Because we have like this biological skeleton that is like nano powered or something. And but I do think that if we're talking like actual zombies, like
Yeah.
maybe it's just only the ligaments hang on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's the tensile strength
Yeah.
of bone to get around as well.
Because theoretically, you could just wait it out.
Mhm.
It'd only take like a few years or 10 years or something, and all the
Yeah.
decay would have happened, and
Yeah. And then maybe, yeah, definitely waiting that long period of time though for the decay and then like the affiliated bacterial and viral
yeah.
diaspora to like get out of there. Um, but again, you know, it's so tough when people are like, what about the zombie apocalypse? I'm like, how'd it start?
Yeah.
You got to know where the hell it came from. Was it a necromancer? We have somebody to hunt down and kill. Does anybody know voodoo?
That's it. All right, take us home with the last one, Ryan.
Okay, so the last one is another favorite of mine. So Bill and Ted have just appeared in front of you with their time machine telephone booth, and have gone, "Whoa, Rufus has sent us back in time, back to take you anywhere you want in time. What do you do? Where do you go?"
All right, guys, I'm going 6,000 years into the future to see how close I am. All right. I got to see if I was anywhere close to my predictions for 6,000 years from now. And exactly like how far off base it was. I'm assuming that we have like life support inside of the time machine in the booth. It's one of those things that I'm like, yeah, it's got to be because they went back to like, you know, Joan of Arc when they're, I'm pretty sure wasn't that the plague was doing its thing at that point. So there's got to be some kind of, you know, immunity that is endowed by the magic of the phone booth. So yeah, absolutely. Now I got to know, Ryan, what would you do though? Like if it's your favorite if those are your favorite questions. Is it your favorite question, Jamie? Sorry.
I do like the question.
I'm going to get real sentimental here. I would probably go back in time, and yes, everyone who listens to this podcast knows that I'm a hard ass. I don't have a filter between here and here, but I lost my mum 14 years ago. I would do two things. One, I would go back in time to when she was about 13 or 14 and tell her not to start smoking, which would save her life. And if that didn't work too, I would probably go back in time to when I was about 20. Because that was when we had from 20 till 28 when she passed away was when we had our best relationship. And I think I'd like to relive some of that and, you know, maybe just, you know, tell her that I loved her a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like just appreciate that and I have thought long and hard, like I could be selfish and go forward to the future and, you know, find out if they're still making really crappy Disney movies, or, you know, go back in time and actually, you know, learn things and then come to the future, or go to the future and then come back to the past and bet on things and make lots of money. But I think that's what I'd like to do. I'd love to go back and convince my mum not to start smoking, because then I think she'd probably still be around today. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's just something from my own personal wish.
I lost my mother when I was almost 19 years old to breast cancer, and she was a smoker her entire life. I was a smoker for a long time. I still use a vape when I'm super nervous. So I understand exactly how much it like just kind of lock its claws into you and how hard it can be to quit. But both my parents passed away from cancer. And I do think that has so much merit. It was one of those, I wasn't going to go that deep into it. I was like, let me be cheeky and fun. But you know, you saying that, I need to meet you at that energy. And that is absolutely beautiful. For me, I have wish fulfillment. It's obviously happening with some of my characters. And so when you're reading and something happens with one of my characters and a parent, it's fairly obvious that I'm sitting there giving the little girl inside of me that needs that just a little pat. I'm like, it's okay. So I totally get that.
I think that it's the era that our parents grew up in. Like my mum and dad both smoked. My mum, they both started when they were definitely not allowed to. You know, they both tried quit. My dad actually quit, I think, about 20 years ago, cold turkey. I think it was like his fourth or fifth time that he tried to quit and actually stuck with it.
Mhm.
But mum, unfortunately, could never get over that hurdle. But yeah, I think because me and Jamie used to be in punk rock bands, and a lot of my songs from, well, not a lot of, I would say a few of my songs after she passed were essentially about her, even though they weren't about
Mhm.
her, because you got that energy
Yeah.
put into creatively. Like I'm not a writer, so I can't do that kind of thing, but I do write music. So that was my
Mhm.
way of sort of saying, this means a lot to me. This hurt me, but I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's how we honor our ones that we've lost. And I'm not sad about talking about it now. You know, I can talk. I used to be able to not talk about it at all. I would
Mhm.
down and everything, but now it's just I realize that she would want me to be living my best life, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
Heck yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And yeah, my mother has been gone for about 20 years now, and it's the same. It definitely took me a long time to be able to just talk about her
Yeah.
and the way, and I still definitely get misty over it. She was definitely my best friend. And then I got left behind with my hard ass dad.
Mm.
He was prior military and wanted to kind of treat me like a soldier. And I was like, that's bro, no. So you lose your best friend and then you've got one parent to lean on and they're freaking combusting. And it was a situation. And I'm sure it sounds like you've been through something fairly similar. And my dad also tried to quit smoking for a long time. I quit smoking cigarettes myself about 8 years ago.
Okay.
And whenever
Well
I
done.
feel like, okay, yeah, whenever I'm like, I need a cigarette, I'll go and I will pick up a vape. And they're so over flavored that I can't do too much. But it definitely has stopped me from, I think, getting another pack of cigarettes. So as much as people, will look down on others that vape, I'm like, it could be worse. They could be smoking like actual cigarettes. So
Mhm.
we have to give other people grace and ourselves grace as we're kind of moving forward. And yeah, and honor those memories as well, because if we don't honor them and we don't think about them, then we lose them. We lose little pieces of them that are really meaningful, like a smell or a sound or just kind of a twinkle in the eye of they're definitely messing with me. I miss my mom messing with me and being like, are you fucking with, she's fucking with me. And so I miss that because those are the things that nobody else really will do with me anymore. My husband tries, God bless him, but it always ends up going kind of sexy, and I'm like, don't you know.
Uh, well done on the icebreakers. I think you did quite well on that. So
Thank you.
I,
The recovery was scary. It was very scary, Ryan,
Mhm.
not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, look, you got 4 out of 5 questions correct. So we're going to go with that. So
All
that's fine.
right.
Continue this on.
This podcast is brought to you by Martin Kearns and the Valor of Valhalla series. In the battle between two ancient evils, can one naive young man become the last hope against powerful creatures of legend? Beneath the Veil is the gripping first book in the Valor of Valhalla dark urban fantasy series. If you like reluctant heroes, infernal myths, and bloody epic clashes, then you'll love Martin Kearns' formidable foray into the unknown. So head on over to readkearns.com and grab yourself a copy of Beneath the Veil today.
Now we can talk about the fun stuff, which is about your writing journey. So how did your writing, you basically touched on it a little bit when we did the Who is M.A. Wall, but how did your writing journey essentially begin?
It began with a really crappy antique typewriter that my parents found at like a garage sale. And this is back, in the day, I'm dating myself for sure, but this is back when you could walk into an office supply store and they had every kind of typewriter ribbon like up on this one wall. And so my parents went and got like the last dusty ones that were there that could actually fit this typewriter. And I started writing. At the time, I was in love with Robert Stack and the unsolved mysteries that he would talk about. That was
Yeah.
the voice that would lull me to sleep every night. And so, of course, I wrote a couple of articles about UFOs and missing people and Sasquatch and just random things that captured my interest. And then after that, I started writing letters to people, and my parents would send them. And I actually was able to see a couple of those, like just not even 2 years ago. My auntie sent me one of the letters and was like, "Do you remember writing this?" And I'm reading it and I'm like, wow, this is completely unhinged. And I would write little short stories to people about what I envisioned their day being like. And for whatever reason, I envisioned my Aunt Heidi chilling with walruses. She's a cardiac nurse. I don't know why the hell I thought that. And so from there, I started to, I think I was one of those like really hyperverbal kids. I read things. We were poor enough. We didn't really have cable. We didn't have a lot of television options. And my dad was like, "We're watching football." Oh, okay. So I would read like the encyclopedia or whatever the hell I could get my hands on. And it started with Robert Heinlein. Definitely not the stuff you would probably give to like a 9 or 10-year-old. And then like Clan of the Cave Bear, those types of classics. And then I was super into Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like my parents got me a VCR and I taped all of them after school. And I found a Trapper Keeper from when I was a kid, and it has a list of all the different episodes and like when they came on and what videotape I had saved them on. So I wrote stories based off of the Star Trek: The Next Generation as well. I wrote my own fanfic before I knew that fanfic was like a thing. And I have reread some of those stories. They are terrible, by the way, just awful. But my love for The Next Generation definitely shows. And I found Robert Jordan when I was about 14. And it was at about that point that I really liked it. I liked Tolkien. I liked Robert Jordan. I liked all of this added detail. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I can do this myself. I don't need all that detail. I can make it up in my own head. So I've lost patience for the things that used to keep me going. And so I'll go back and look at what I wrote as a 14 or 15-year-old. And you can see there's a lot of inspiration from, a small group of kids for whatever weird, fantastical reason has to leave on horseback to go and fight some sort of mystical problem. And it was very, very, what you would expect, I think, as a categorical fantasy writing. Mm-hmm. And it was about when I was 19, I really hit my stride and realized that I like science fiction, and I'll read just about anything. Even kind of like those smutty romance novels. If they're funny, I will read them. But if they're not funny or intense in some way, shape, or form, if there's not more to the plot, I've wasted my money and my time. This is not happening. So I don't mind them. I'll ravenously read whatever is put in front of me most of the time. So anyway, I've gone afield there, but that's kind of my writing journey. I definitely wrote Shattered Hollows. I started the series about 10 years ago, and I had no idea. And I feel like I should state this. Like I should probably have a disclaimer somewhere on the book that, like Donald J. Trump was not even a blip on my radar when I started this. Okay. And so now I have a 4-book series that is about the rise of fascism and how people must overcome it and what it looks like. And it's a little too prescient for my own comfort at times. I'll go back and reread it and I'm like, people are going to be fucking mad at me. And they're going to think I wrote this about this guy. And not at all. It was the reason I picked the time that I did is just to kind of show that when you have a social construct of any kind, the moment it becomes unbalanced, it's highly unlikely that somebody isn't going to try to take advantage of that. And so just about every form of government has dealt with this before, where, even communist regimes, socialist regimes, places that we have a republic, other places that are true democracies have dealt with the rise of fascism. And it comes about for all sorts of different reasons. But most of it, I think, deep down inside is because when we are like socially unstable, we like deep down inside, people crave organization. And so that's where we get like this tipping of the table, and it's all based on fear. And as much as people are like, oh, I hate this thing, I'm like, pretty sure you mean you're afraid of it. So it's all this kind of fear-based motivation. Anyways, I can get really far afield when I'm talking. Feel free to always pull me back. You guys say you're the tangent kings. I might be the empress. We'll see. So that's where my writing journey has kind of led me to, is understanding that, you know, most science fiction is kind of like thinly veiled socio-economic commentary of some kind. And I didn't really mean for it to be that. It's just I started to write, and that's what it became. And I'm definitely a grower when it comes to my writing. I don't know what the hell is going to happen. I do not always have an ending in mind. Sometimes I'll have a scene in mind that I really hope I can get in there. But otherwise, I get in there and I let the world tell me what it is, and the characters tell me where they're going, which to me is thrilling, because then I don't have to have everything planned out, and I plan out literally everything else because I'm a scientist and a vice president, and I cannot function otherwise. But it's not my favorite way to live. I'm an intuitive processor, and I like to feel my way through things, because if it doesn't feel right, I need time to sit and like be with that.
Yeah. That's very, I like the way that you're describing the world that you've built, and that's where we kind of want to go into now. So you've got, obviously, the first two books are out. I've found them quite easily on Amazon. So tell us a little bit about the world that you created as part of this four book series.
So we have humanity 6,000 years in the future, recovering from a very long century-long period of warfare that I've dubbed the Shining Wars. And this is where we had alien invaders, if you will, coming into the solar system specifically to steal our resources from, you know, the Kuiper Belt, the Oort Belt, or the Oort Cloud, and also from Earth itself. So as we have people that are coming in, or aliens coming in and doing that, our ability to fight them was based very much so in science and our ability to genetically alter ourselves to keep up with the changing climate. So we have radiation belts that occur. And so we have, you know, the birth of these different technologies that it turns out we traded with aliens to get.
Okay.
And that's just the backdrop for where we're at. We have two major societies on the face of the earth. One is a technocracy or a technocracy. You know how weird it is when you never say it out loud and then you say it out loud. Anyways, so we have one that's more of a corporate entity, right? It's all of its meritocracy. It's all, you know, very corporatized, but it's still a government. It still functions kind of as more of a socialist outfit. With a bunch of different councils and levels and layers. And so that's called SAB. It means Systems Analyst Bridge. And they train people to kill. And they do warfare and negotiations around the galaxy for aliens and humans alike. And then we have the other half of humanity that is represented by, I call it the tribes. And this is basically just everybody else. And so each tribe is given its own ability to govern itself, but all together they're represented by one large enclave of representatives. And so that's the setting that we've got, at least geopolitically, if you will. Most of SAB is located around the poles of the Earth. And since we have kind of runaway environmental problems with radiation belts, heat, and a surface reclamation project going on, most of the tribes live underground in very large cities that have been either built in layers, and one in particular that is built in a way that is fairly nerve-wracking. So that's, I think, the setting that I would most focus on, just talking about the basics of the book. There are definitely other characters or other entities at play, such as the nomads. And these are people that are unaltered, and they're not genetically, you know, anything special that anybody knows about, but they keep moving. And then we also have juggernauts. And they've called themselves juggernauts, and they're basically mercenaries for hire. that live on the surface of the earth, and they're not affiliated with anyone. So these could be people that have simply left because of abuse, or have been kicked out of their own societies because they failed prison, because prison is something you have to pass now. So that's the basic. We also have a large portion of the Orion Spur has been settled at this point in time. And one of the things we find out about other aliens is they're actually not as hardy as humans. And that is mostly because of like their structure. And so we don't really get to meet a lot of aliens. They literally cannot live on Earth because oxygen is a poison. And they've nicknamed humans fire breathers because of that, because oxygen burns. So that's the setting, and the idea behind the plot is, again, it's about the rise of fascism, what it looks like, and the plot itself is very much so based on breeding programs. So we have your normal workaday humans. Everybody lives to about 200 to 250 years. And then we have our upgraded humans. And this is more of an elite servant, if I may, class. And so they are given genetic upgrades based on the needs of the corporation, or on the needs of the tribe, or on the needs of the government that's in power. And the more of these genetic upgrades that you get, the more indebted you are to these governments. And so our characters, the two that I've focused on is one from SAB, one from the tribes, and they are born into the breeding programs. They are born into this elite servitude, if you will. And they are also working for very different government layouts. And really, there's not a lot of reason for them to ever interact with each other. SAB and the tribes are very much so like, we're just going to avoid each other, because if we have another civil war, it could wipe out literally all of humanity. So let's just be chill and not talk. And so we have these very, very different but very similar governments that are also just hands off, no touchy, we don't talk.
So what are some of your inspirations? Because I'm getting a little bit of a cyberpunk vibe there. I'm getting a little bit of Stargate Atlantis, the Gen I living underground vibe. What where did you get your inspiration from?
So the inspiration actually came. Sorry, this is actually funny to me. My friends can be jerks, okay? And about 10, about 10 years ago, I went to a group of my friends and I said, "Hey guys, I'm just looking for something different. I want to write something different, and if you guys could just send me some prompts, I will do my damnedest." So they picked 6,000 years in the future. And they know exactly how I feel about training scenes in text. All right. Works so beautifully for Rocky. It's so great to have like an awesome montage.
Yeah. But
put it in text and oh my friggin' frack. No, thank you. I don't like, it's so boring. I don't see it being a thing. So at any rate, once they gave that to me, I was like, y'all are jerks. Where am I doing this? And they gave me a swamp. And that was where Shattered Hollows came from. I actually started writing this series with book 2. I went back and wrote book 1 last. So they gave me that prompt, and I actually started with my 2 main characters meeting and essentially beating the shit out of each other at the very beginning, because I figure that's a good standard for friendship. But I definitely tackled the training as well as I could and made it actionable. And really and truly, it was more of just I'm going to do as few training scenes as is humanly possible, and we're going to get the hell out of here. So that was exactly how this actually started. The inspiration itself for all of it, I don't know. That's a heavy question for somebody that I don't even know, like, what the hell. I just suddenly am in a world I don't even know how it came to be. Almost more like I'm channeling it into existence. So there's this part of me that, people are like, where do you get this? It's amazing. And I'm like, I feel kind of it's like an imposter syndrome in a way, because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it was just given to me.
Yeah, no, I felt like that with my first book. Like, my first book was an accident because I didn't set out to write a book. It just happened. And then
Yeah.
I wrote it, and then people going like, "How'd you do that?" And I don't know, it just happened. It's just
Yeah.
sitting there
I
making
just
stuff up.
Yeah, and I just
Mhm.
sat and didn't put too much pressure on myself, and ba boom boom,
Yeah.
things actually freaking
Yeah.
happened.
So you a plotter or a pantser or a bit of both?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
Um, I'm definitely more of just see what happens. I'll
Yeah.
kind of have an idea. I do know like basic things. Like
Yeah.
if I'm gonna make an ending work, I have to at least dedicate myself to thinking about it and giving myself a direction to aim for. But how I get there can be as loosey goosey as it needs to be. And one of my favorite characters to write is a goober,
Hmm.
somebody that's just a weirdo, and you're not really sure what the hell they're going to do next or what their logic is. So I do prefer to throw those kind of characters in there because it adds an element of unpredictability to the
Yeah.
plot.
Yeah.
Sorry
Cool.
about that, guys. Just had a bit of a technical issue, but I am back.
You're back?
I am back. Sorry about that. I just had to reset my internet connection.
Cool.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
That's all right. Well, let's ask Ryan's favorite question. Yet talking about your covers, I really do like your covers. They're very sci-fi.
Thank
Um,
you.
Yeah, I love that. I had a look at the covers. I absolutely love them. My question in relation to covers are, one, did you do them yourself or did you contract someone to do them for you? And are you planning on using the same, if you didn't do them yourself and you contracted someone to do them, are you planning on using them for the entire series or forever?
So, my artist, her name is Katrine Russell. She's located in Sweden, and she's absolutely fabulous. I would recommend her to anybody. She's quick. She is very aware of what it is you're looking for. And so when I started to talk to her and she gave me a mock-up, I was like, well, you're my favorite person on the face of the planet. And she's just absolutely fabulous. So yes, I will be using her for the rest of the series. She's also going to help me design the box set. I'm commissioning some character art from her because she really just is that fabulous. I don't know if she'll want to do the maps that I've asked her to do. She might send that off to a buddy of hers. But given how good she is, I fully trust her in that vein. I am not somebody that prefers the use of AI in
Yeah.
art. It is to me important that if I'm going to put something out there that is considered artistic, I should give artists an
Yeah.
opportunity to be there with me. And I would much rather pull people along with me than, go it myself on everything. I think that
Yeah.
anything that has good success involves a team and other people. And, success is so much more fun when there's
Yeah.
other people to celebrate it with you
Yeah.
and enjoy it with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great that you've got someone you can rely on. Like, I've had a few artists. I've got someone doing a recover for my last book, but he's very, very slow. He's very good, but he's very, very slow. And
Mm-hmm,
now that
mm-hmm.
I'm starting a series, I'm like, I think, I want someone quicker.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, if you would like, I would be very pleased to send Katrine's information to you guys. I mean, she's just fabulous. And you can check out her website. She's also well priced. And just a sweetheart, just a
Yeah.
kind-hearted person. So, and those are the types of people I like to work with.
Yeah.
The only other artist that's out there that I salivate at the thought of Ren Gill being like, I will write a song about your books.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. I
Yeah.
absolutely love Ren. He's so good. I love musical artists. I love
Yeah.
people that can write something short and poignant. I am not one of those people. I
Yes.
will write 4 books to get my point across.
Yeah.
Where somebody else can write one paragraph. I'm envious, of people that are capable of just writing a song and making it this evocative
Yeah.
2 to 3 minute journey, and you can experience all the same feelings as you would reading, several million words.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I feel the same way. We got a friend that's a filmmaker. He's an Australian filmmaker. He is absolutely brilliant. And I've always said if my book becomes a movie, he's doing it. I told him that. I said, if this becomes a movie, I'm putting your name down
oh
because he's
yeah.
just really good. He's old school practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
A shark movie that's about to hit theaters this year, over your way, I think.
Oh,
um,
very cool.
called
Okay.
Fear Below, and it's a 1940s shark movie, and he did it all with practical effects. There's no CGI.
Yeah,
I
it was a.
love that.
I saw a post of him the other day. He actually said he is one of the very few people that was able to shoot a movie that was predominantly underwater without actually putting his actors underwater.
That's
So,
incredible.
Yeah,
and from what I've seen from the stills and the actual, some of the footage of the movie, Jamie's actually seen the movie, but
Mhm.
you can't tell. You can't tell that they're not
yeah,
underwater.
yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. I actually, as soon as you said Fear Below, I think I actually saw the first advertisement I've
The
seen of
trailer.
that, or the trailer. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I saw it today
yeah,
on either Facebook or YouTube,
yeah,
something. I can't remember
yeah,
exactly where I saw it.
yeah,
But it did strike my attention. And you're saying no CGI. I'm gonna go back and rewatch that now.
yeah.
Um,
He is brilliant. I first caught wind of him about 2016, I think it was. He did
mhm,
a bushranger film about one
Mhm.
of our infamous bushrangers, outlaws called Ben Hall and
mhm,
period piece. He made a movie that was just this is the story. He's not picking sides. He goes, this is what happens. There's a lot
mhm,
of tension with outlaws in Australia, especially one called Ned Kelly, who's the most famous.
mhm.
Yeah.
And it's just like go back to the early 1900s. Australia made the first full length of full feature film, and it was about Ned Kelly.
Wow.
And then they got really popular, and the government got really uncomfortable with it because of the way that
Mhm.
government was portrayed in it, and rightly so. And then they banned them.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
uh,
Wow, that's crazy. I have some serious research to do. Mostly because this happens. I've never been to Australia. The most familiar I am with it is my children are obsessed with Bluey, and
everyone
Yeah.
is.
yeah, everyone is. My son constantly asks for dollar bucks, and I'm like, me too, bro.
Yeah.
Um,
So they walk around going
so
airport, airport.
airport. Yes. He does. Well, it's better
Airport.
than when he was watching Peppa Pig all the time and he was like,
Yeah,
Mommy, I can't. I'm like, don't you live in Texas. Get your shit together, sir.
yeah.
But yeah, I think when we went from our biggest export in the entertainment was the Wiggles for kids, and
Hmm.
I think then when Bluey came out, because it's all I watch a lot of videos on Facebook at night time because I'm generally a night owl. I don't go to sleep till like 2, 3 in the morning.
Hmm.
So when my wife's like, "We're going to bed," it's 11 o'clock. I just lay there with my headphones and watch videos, and the amount of American parents that their kids or their dogs, believe it or not, love Bluey. It's yeah. There's this family that I follow
Okay.
on Facebook. They have two huskies one's named Blue after Bluey,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
one's named Titan, and they have a golden retriever named Maverick. Blue will not go to sleep. He will chuck a tantrum on his owner's bed and rip the bed up if he does not get to watch one episode of Bluey before bed. And apparently it's got something to do with
Americans.
the color scheme. The color scheme of Bluey is recognizable to
Animals.
dogs.
Yeah.
To dogs. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did hear that. That's really cool. That's so
yeah,
funny. I'm definitely gonna look them up.
but the amount of families in the US that know about the Wiggles and know about Bluey,
Hmm.
and that's how they
Hmm.
know Australia. And we're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, not for the all the animals that we have out here that can kill you. It's for a cartoon dog and four people wearing skivvy singing songs to your kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Americans also have zero room to talk when it comes to creepy ass animals. By the way, like anytime they're like, "Oh, I'd never go to Australia, all the spiders." I'm like, "Okay, sure, whatever." You've been to Florida or Louisiana? Hell,
Yeah.
here in the Houston area, I've seen mosquitoes that are the size of my thumb, and I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
like literally make you a little bit low on blood."
Well, we
So,
have we have spiders that can kill you. We have snakes that can kill you. We have crocodiles, probably more prevalent than the alligator situation in Florida, up in the Northern
mhm,
Hmm.
Territory,
I would
to the
imagine,
point
yeah.
where there was some flooding in a shopping center around Northern Territory probably a couple of weeks ago, and a guy literally followed a baby crocodile around a shopping center until we found its mum, and then decided to hightail it out of there because our saltwater crocs can get pretty damn big out
Yep.
here.
Oh yeah,
So
I
yeah,
believe it.
that should be our slogan. You know, come to Australia, we've got everything that can kill you out here,
Yeah.
except
Damn
guns. We
right.
don't have guns.
I was
We
gonna
our
say, but
military,
we've got the
our
guns.
military has our military and police and all that, all the legal people that have the guns. But yeah, I remember there was a big massacre in Port Arthur by a guy named Martin Bryan, killed a
I
lot of
remember
people
that.
down in Port Arthur. And after that, probably our last good prime minister, John Howard,
Mhm.
said, okay, we're going to not make sure something like this never happens again, and we're going to outlaw guns. And they were trading guns for money and for movie tickets and all this kind of thing. And literally 90 to 95% of our country's weapons.
Mhm.
Oh, we froze.
Oh, we lost him. Maybe he'll come back. So we've
yeah.
it would be really nice if the US would just like follow suit on those things. Again, you can go and get a license to drive a vehicle that is not meant to kill anything, not a person, not an animal, nothing. And you still have to take a full ass course. But in order to buy a weapon, they're just like, have you been imprisoned recently?
Yeah.
And that's it. So it drives me absolutely nuts, especially since like I know all of the working parts of a weapon. And if people ever wonder like why I'm not so concerned about having my weapons around my kids, it's because none of them have any firing pins in them. So even if it was loaded, good luck making anything happen. But I just don't see other people knowing how to like do that. And help people don't even know how to change their own oil. So
no, that's a huge problem. I mean, in Australia, like we still have guns, and there's still a lot of them. It's just there's more stricter things about it. Like the cops have to come to your house like once or twice a year to verify that you've got it in your safe and all that stuff. And you have to go to have a gun license. You have to be active with it. So you got to go to the shooting range 4 times a year. There's all these strict rules around it. But it's
and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Like that to me, that makes absolutely perfect sense. You have to re-register your vehicle every year.
Yeah.
Then you should have to re-register your weapons, probably even more so than that. And I think you should have to have an updated safety course and have anger management lessons. I think that should be that's
the side that I think is neglected a lot, the mental health side of it. You've got to,
Well, we're just now getting out of and trying to claw our way back into the idea that having any kind of emotional instability means that you're just like you're insane and you're crazy and we can't trust you to do anything. And honestly, people will still cling to that narrative, even though like we have people that are absolutely unhinged, walking around on stage at congressional hearings and such, like with a chainsaw. What the hell is happening? And this is why also, if you guys have not watched Idiocracy, you must.
Oh, I've watched bits and pieces. That actually came up on an older episode, and I've seen bits and pieces of it. But I have to watch it because Terry Crews. It's
yes. First of all, it's Terry Crews. I mean, and hold on, I'm trying to remember who. I have to look it up now. Who freaking wrote this? Because I know it's important. Here we go, and it's so good. Mike Judge, right? Yep. And one of the Coen brothers wrote Idiocracy, and this film is ridiculous. It's absolutely fabulous. But I will say, watching it now is a slight bit more depressing than the first time I watched it. 18 years ago, 20 years ago, when it first came out, and I was like, this would never happen. And I don't know if you know this about Idiocracy. This is a little piece that I'll give that I know about it. Crocs, right? Yeah, those became popular because of the movie Idiocracy. And when they chose that footwear, they chose it because only an idiot would choose these shoes. And now all of us are wearing them, and I'm like, the commentary. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. I have Crocs too, so I'm not going to sit and throw too much judgment, but it's hilarious. I highly recommend the film. And also, like, maybe, I don't know, I used to never say this, but maybe after Idiocracy, a palate cleanser of some kind, just because it hits some things a little too hard on the nose now that I never really anticipated.
Yeah. Well, I've always found with Crocs, the only acceptable people to wear them are children and really old people. I just think no one in between.
Yep. I will say the reason I wear Crocs myself is because I just got a heel. I was having a lot of pain in my heel. It turns out I have a heel spur. And when I asked my podiatrist, like, what shoes should I wear? He was like, just get some Crocs. And I was like, literally anything else. And he said, no. And okay. So I do have them. And unfortunately, I hate to report, it really does help my heel.
Well, I hear they're super comfortable. They're super comfortable.
They are.
Do you ever put them in sports mode and find that you're walking a little bit faster?
Honestly, yes. It's so much better to have them in sport mode because I feel a little less like they're about to fly off my foot. However, then I'm losing my opportunity to use them for what I assume was their original use as a chunkla. Have you guys heard of the term chunkla? Okay. Nope. All right. So Hispanic American culture, I have plenty of friends that are Mexican, and probably the first time I was ever assaulted by somebody that wasn't a family member, it was an abuela from one of my friends' families because I cursed, and she hit me in the face with her shoe. And that is the chancla. It's a flip-flop. All right. Okay. The chancla is a flip-flop. It is something that is used by both Hispanic mothers, Middle Eastern mothers, and honestly myself now. And some of these women, they can throw that thing with fine precision. I mean, I would hire, like, as a bodyguard, a woman with a flip-flop might actually be a really good hire, is all I'm saying. Especially if you curse in front of her and piss her off.
We call them thongs.
Yes, correct. We call them flip-flops because of the awesome noises that they make when you're walking. So,
and because thong is something different in America as well. So it's a certain type of underwear.
There was a brilliant comedian over here. I think it was Carl Barron, Ryan, and he was talking about the difference between thongs and Australian thongs. And he's like walking down the beach, and this guy's like, "Oh, look, you see that girl? See down the pants? You can see thongs." And I'm like, "How loose are her pants?" Yeah, I love Carl Barron.
That's excellent.
Do you know Carl Barron?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love comedians, and so I've watched him. I've watched I know that there's another gal I've been watching recently, and she's quite hilarious. I believe she's British. And I can send you guys her link later. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. She talks about bleached buttholes, and it made me, I scream laughed at her. It was so funny. Yeah, I really love Jim Gaffigan as well. If you guys ever watch him,
he is brilliant.
He's so funny.
I really appreciate a clean comedian because it's hard. It's easy. It's easy to do the dirty joke. It's easy to make, the crass joke, but he is just so intelligent.
Yep. He's got it going. He just really makes it happen. And for me, anytime I can watch comedy and laugh and my children can be in the room.
Yeah.
That means I actually get to effing watch something. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. I would love to do that. I do love. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, like Jamie got me into him. He's hit and miss for me. Like some of his specials I can watch and really enjoy.
Yeah.
But some of them I just, and it's not to do anything to do with swearing, because we know that I like to swear. I try and restrain myself on the podcast as much as possible. But as I said, no filter between here and here. But I'm more of an observational humor person. That's the kind of humor that I put out. So when you go ahead and write a special, it's all about the delivery for me as well. Yeah. I just find that some of his stuff just falls flat for me, and I end up turning the special off. But then some of his specials I can watch all the way through and laugh my ass off and absolutely love it. But yeah, he's just kind of
hit and miss.
And that's why I sort of don't really, I can't say I like him, because there's so many more comedians out there that hit every single time when I watch them.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I know he's a pretty big deal, so I probably should like him, but I just can't.
Well, you don't have to.
I don't think it's important to like something just because other people do. Um, one of my favorite stand-up comedians is Eddie Izzard, and he definitely has had, or she has had some definite hit and misses over certain periods. But I still go back to all of the original content that they put out, and it's just so good. The Ottoman Empire full of furniture for some reason. I don't know why, but those things always hit so well. I really do love a good historical joke as much as I don't really love like a period piece because I already read the history. So what are you going to surprise me with?
You heard of a guy
sorry
called
about that.
Alan Erskine or something? Someone he's this Mormon comedian. He's super clean, and he is so funny. It's just simple little jokes. Like I don't think people realize how much power you have with a bike lock. It's just like
Yeah.
you can just walk up to a Starbucks and go, "You're closed." He's very cool. I can't remember. I can't see if I can find his name.
Alan Erskine, is that who you're talking
Alan
about?
Erskine. He's bald-headed.
I don't know.
Oh,
I'll let you pull him up. But yeah, I've definitely, I think you're talking about Alan Erskine.
I'll go to. I'll bring him up on
No,
my.
that guy's got hair. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. Okay, because I'm following him somewhere.
hmm
That'll be the quickest way.
Yeah. So yeah, I find that like lately, most of what I'm watching is honestly like TikTok. I haven't even been reading any
Yeah.
books or anything recently.
Yeah.
But I'm also actively writing. And so I found that like when I start to read and I'm actively writing, I will start to adopt like people's tone and cadence in my own writing. And I despise that because it's not natural to me. I can't maintain that.
Yeah.
So when I'm actively writing, I have to be really careful. I can't just like start reading Ellie Modizette Jr. or Dan Simmons because I will literally immediately start to pick up because they're my favorite. I absolutely love them.
I was going to ask this question. That's another one of the questions I like to ask. You mentioned before earlier in the interview that you love to read, and reading is obviously a big passion. That's the same with me. But do you find since you started writing or since you put out these two books, you don't read as much, or because it feels like I do this not do it for a living, but I want to do this for a living, but I don't like writing and then reading. And is that how you find? Because I like to ask a lot of authors, and they generally say, "Yeah, we don't read as much anymore."
Yeah, it is true. You end up since I've really started to get into this series and release finish it off, and I'm starting my next series, which is kind of I'm working on the title because somebody else has already claimed the timeline wars, but the more that I find myself reading, even if it's good, even if it's amazing, I feel like I am going to start like integrating other people's work into my own, which is all well and good when you have permission to do those things.
Yeah.
So I do think that I'm a lot more restrictive about when I read. It's not about what I read, it's just when I allow myself to actually read. And then when I do actually allow myself to read, it's more just like 2 or 3 months of don't talk to me, I'm catching up. And I'll allow myself that time when I can. It's been a lot harder since I have kids, both under 5. So having 2 kids under 5 has made it to where like actually sitting and writing and reading, one thing has got to go. One's got to go. And it has been reading for me. I still go back into like some of my classics that I really like to read, like Heinlein. I just busted back into Starship Troopers the other day. I can't help myself. It's so good. And I also like Ellie Modizette Jr. If you've never read his work, the Saga of Recluse is what I normally like push people to break their teeth on because it's kind of a fusion of fantasy sci-fi. And I just absolutely phenomenal writing. And I know I won't write like Ellie Modizette Jr. I know that I won't, because he is a very nice, like well-structured writer. And I have gore, curse words, and all sorts of other crazy shit happening. So I feel like he's a bit more respectful about his writing, and I'm a bit more cavalier and a little bit more bloodthirsty in most ways, in all honesty.
Cool. Just quickly, that comedian is Kellen Erskine.
Kellen Erskine.
Kellen Erskine.
Got it.
Kelleners. Kin.
ERS Kin. Got it.
Good, clean, fun.
I love it. Yes, please. And if you have any more of those, you just send them my direction. That's one of the reasons I like Jim Gaffigan is I can have it on in the background and my kids aren't going to just like turn around and start being like, fuck. Which I already have my own self to deal with in that way. So I'm like, let's not add any more exposure because again, I was raised in the military, was in the military, got out of the military and then married back into it like a fool. And
seems like discipline is something in your household.
One of the weird part about it is that being in the military, it's very difficult to get thoughts out without a curse word bookending each sentence. And it's proven to be a really great thing in a lot of situations, but then I'll find myself in like a room with a bunch of Armani suits and Depends. And I don't know what you call adult diapers there. Here they're called Depends.
Depends, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I'll find myself in a room with like these rich ass dudes and I'll drop an F-bomb mostly just to see what they'll do. And ironically enough, most of the time they just
Tighten
won't say anything. But I definitely surprise them.
Well,
and
say it with a British accent because it sounds more classier, you know.
Oh, I should do that very much so, sir. Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Well, that would be bollocks. Yeah.
Bollocks.
Yes.
Which is, I honestly, I'm glad I don't go to England very often because I have a hard time remembering if the dog's bollocks is good or bad. Like I always forget which one is good and which one's bad. Because bollocks is bad, but the dog's bollocks is okay for some reason.
Well, come to Australia. Our language makes no sense sometimes.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, nah, yeah.
Yeah, nah, yeah.
Yeah, nah.
We do that here too, though. It's just we've Americanized it, and it's not quite as like sexy. It's not like got the Olivia Newton-John like twinge of sexy to it. I almost feel like we've taken most languages and just flattened it out a little bit.
No, we've got our Australians that we put on a pedestal like Chris Hemsworth and Hugh Jackman, and they're like the better accent. But then if you come walk around everyday Australia, it's like, yeah, mate, it's you can't even I can't handle it.
And the higher you go, so the further up Australia you go, the higher the pitch is. So, you start around Western Sydney, which is just, lower to middle. It's like, yeah, mate, but you go up high like Gympie and Cairns, right up to top of North Queensland. It's like, hey, they get really high pitched and annoying.
It's hotter up there.
We don't all speak like that. There's some of us like me and Jamie who speak like well-educated people. Yeah. But sometimes when we go back to, places like when I grew up in Quakers Hill and it's part of the Hills district, which sounds all fancy like. But then just to the south of that is a place called Doonside and Blacktown. And they're places where the Western dialect is quite prevalent, as I like to say.
Oh, yeah.
So you go back there and you tend to fall back into the boganism, as we call it.
Yeah.
But it depends. It depends on where you go in Australia. But the higher you go, the higher the pitch and the lower the IQ, I like to say.
Oh, goodness. That's very interesting. I'm not going to speak to the IQ in any parts of the US because we're all very unbalanced everywhere. There's no state that is like really worse off than any other, except for funding wise. Like Mississippi and Alabama do not have it well funding wise. But every time I've gone through, I have lived in Georgia in my past, and every time I go through the Atlanta airport, I can't understand a damn thing anybody says. I feel like I understand people better in France and Germany and freaking Africa than I do in Atlanta, Georgia. The last time I went through there, I couldn't find a bathroom to save my life. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just pee on the plane. I don't even care anymore. And I just can't even understand them. So there are definitely places, even in the US, that I'm like, what language is that? I don't think that's what I'm speaking. I try to be cool, man. I'm just
Yeah.
not, apparently.
You guys are all nuts over there, so
Oh,
we can
yeah.
completely understand.
Yeah.
I've
Completely
done enough
understand.
traveling. I've done enough traveling to absolutely and 100% agree with you. And I think it's largely, we live in like this big echo chamber. So anytime I talk to somebody that is obviously not well traveled, that's my first point of advice is like, have you even left the state before? No,
Yeah.
get the hell out like at
Yeah.
least one time before you sit and tell me where the greatest country on earth is, please.
Yeah.
That one's the one that drives me nuts is like, oh, this is the greatest country on earth. I'm like, how many countries you been to? All of them? You been to all of them? Have you been to any except for this one?
Yeah.
And if they can't say that, I'm like, then you shouldn't say it's the great. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. You're just happy you're here. You think it's great because you're here. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try to be cool about it, but I think most Americans honestly feel very similar to me. And that is that we've not like everybody that says, oh, it's the best and it's the greatest is because there's a microphone shoved in their face and they're afraid to say anything else.
There you go.
So,
Well, I think it'd be a good time to jump into our Patreon right now. So why don't you tell our non-Patreons where they can buy your books, where they can follow you, your socials, everything that you want to plug.
absolutely. All right. So if you guys want to follow me on TikTok, I don't know how much longer I'm going to have access to it. I do have an Australian VPN. We'll see if that helps out. But my handle there is at Tactical Nightmare, all one word. And same for my YouTube. I just set up my YouTube. I only have one thing up right now. It's me reading the preamble to book 1. And let's see, where the heck did I put that? My apologies. So you can find me on YouTube at Shattered Hollows. I also have a website, shatteredhollows.com. If you don't want to order books through Amazon because you're doing some kind of a boycott or protest, please go ahead and reach out to me separately. My books are available signed at $12.99 US. And if you are looking for an e-published version or a Kindle version, those are available. I'm also going to be releasing this out to Barnes & Noble and a couple of other distributors over the next couple of months. So books 3 and 4 will both be out before September. There will be a box set with a 5th included book coming out in late October. So if you want to buy a box set for one of your family members for Christmas, I will have that polished and ready and perfect because I have to have perfection. Mm-hmm. Those will be ready to go towards the end of this year. If you guys like the way that I write, go ahead and hang tight because the next series coming up is about what happens when all of us get sucked into a black hole.
Ooh.
Excellent.
Cliffhanger. We might expand on that more in the Patreon. But thanks for listening, guys. Check out thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com if you want to reach out. Check out our socials. Everything is down in the show notes, same as MA Walls. All of her stuff will be down in the show notes too. So thanks for listening, and let's get onto the Patreon.
On we go.
Hello. Well, I think we're on set to break the record of our longest episode. So that's you'll be crowned. You'll knock.
Thank you.
You will knock out Amy Cormack.
Yeah, those are the things that I'm kind of exploring, and to me, it's absolutely horrifying. I don't try to beat it to death. It is sci-fi. Yeah. There is romance in there. There is a spicy scene, Ryan. Okay, there's a spicy scene.
I'd like to say thank you for pronouncing it correctly to begin, because the amount of Americans I've seen and we've interviewed that have said,
if you could have anyone read your favorite book to you, who would it be? Picture to you. Like you are sitting on the floor in your favorite blankie and someone comes in with your favorite book. For Ryan, it would be Henry Cavill, sitting down in a chair. And...
Okay, but Henry Cavill, that's glorious and gorgeous, but I actually think...
So you're head of the education department for a day. What book do you put in the school curriculum? And you can't say your own.
And on that note, you have officially beaten Amy Cormack by 25 minutes.
I'm sorry, Amy.
No.
I'm sorry.
Amy will reach out and come and want to try and defeat it somehow.